just let the youth come and just kind of listen to my experience of being a Muslim. And the purpose is to express how fortunate we are to be Muslim in these days and time. Despite all the negative that we hear, but there's so much beauty and blessings that you guys, I hope that you really feel the way that I do in this brother, because we were not born Muslim. Okay? Most of you were. This was a choice that I took. I did some critiquing. Studied, read. Okay? So I think first, would you like to go first? Because,
no, do your thing.
Okay, I'm Abdulatif Taylor. I think some of you know me, some of you don't. I've been part of this community since MCA first started here, probably before most of you were born. But my background, I grew up Christian, grew up in the church, San Francisco, the old San Francisco, not what we have now. The process of gentrification, he can probably speak more on this because gentrification is all over this country. Every inner city in America is going through this. From what I was told, that when they talk about gentrification, they use San Francisco as the model to illustrate this process. I grew up in this model. I grew up in the 60s in an area called the Fillmore. The Fillmore does not exist anymore. The Mission District of San Francisco does not exist anymore. These are cultural icons or landmarks that San Francisco was known for. The Mission, you had legendary musicians, Carlos Santana, which the guy is a giant. I watched him as a little boy play at places like Dolores Park, Golden Gate Park. I used to go through there as a little boy. As a little boy, watched them for free. The Fillmore, which doesn't exist, I took my mother there. She's 90. And we drove down Fillmore. And she said, "Where we at, son?" I said, "This is Fillmore." The area, which is roughly, it's kind of hard to really define it. It's pretty much, if you know San Francisco, it's like Gary Street or Post from, let's say, you can maybe go down as far as Van Ness, all the way up to Divisadero. That was predominantly African American. That was post-World War II. Okay, my family, father, mother, and aunts and uncles, two groups came post-World War. My father worked in Oakland, the Naval Supply Center. My uncles worked there. And the other half of my family went to what is called Compton. And my uncles and aunt moved there because of Long Beach, the shipyard. So African American, most of us came, what's called the Black Migration, came out of post-World War II. And I grew up in San Francisco. That time period, late 50s and 60s, the Fillmore was considered the Harlem of the West. Meaning, if you know Harlem, New York, that was the African American
Capital.
The capital. You have literary writers who expressed in such a literary way that it was just mind-blowing. Harlem was known for that. West Coast, San Francisco was very similar to that. Culture. Mom and pop shops. Some of the best musicians, thinkers, and writers. I don't even want to go into names. But coupled in that area, we had the Nation of Islam. regardless what anybody says, Nation of Islam was a very respected group I call them proto-Islam. And people say, no, Nation of Islam, no. You have to understand what this group did for us. What it did for me as a boy, I watched them. As a boy, they were such upright people in the midst of a bunch of madness. I grew up in that era to where it was, first it was heroin. San Francisco was heroin in black communities. They purposely, whoever does, I don't want to get into conspiracies, but they have been trying to exterminate black people since we got here. Do your research. From the Tuskegee Institute, study that. They tested on black people to see if they can withstand these drugs. We survived. The slavery, I don't even want to bemoan that. And these Baines are people who survived. Just follow my thought. Okay? The Nation of Islam had a strong presence. 60s and 70s, if you read a book called The Dark Alliance by Gary Webb, the crack cocaine explosion. I grew up kind of like in that era. Cocaine, how does it get to the black community? Some people used to think that black people have a propensity for drugs, which is false. How did it get to our community? You can go any community. He's from Philly. He's going to tell you about it. It's everywhere. It finds its way in our community somehow. Somehow. But despite that, I just want to give you a little context. San Francisco, where I grew up. I grew up a Christian. I always believed in God. Always. My parents took me to church. The black church is our backbone. That's our backbone. Without that, I don't know what we'd be like. As a boy, I prayed. 6 years old, I used to pray. My parents never forced me. I was connected. I was connected. I was a city boy. I'm no different than anybody else. Believe me, I'm average, or was average as a boy. Yes, I was average. And what that means that city boys did things, to say the least. Okay? But boys did worse things. I was with them, but something was with me. I'd ask God to forgive me. And I don't even want to go into what I did. It's not important what. Is that I'd always ask God to forgive me. As a little boy. As a boy. In a rough, tough neighborhood. Drugs were everywhere. 60s, drugs were everywhere. Crime was rapid. Bad. Boys were committing crimes. I was with them. They're my homies. I didn't do some of these things, but I was with them. You know, I mean, you got homies. You got to roll with them. I always knew something was wrong as a little boy. Always. I was with them. I'd go home and I'd pray. God, forgive me. Just by being with them. They would get in trouble. I didn't. So I started thinking, something's going on in this world. How they would get in trouble and I didn't. Case in point, they'd steal cars. They learned how to hotwire cars. 12, 13-year-old boys hotwiring cars and stealing cars, joyride. Yes, I rode with them. I rode with them. I didn't steal them. I was with them. We jump out, crash car. I get out and run. and run. I was a runner. Go home and pray. I didn't get in trouble. My friends got in trouble. Okay? These are the types of things that we all went through. But drugs were always there. It's a commerce. Let me fast forward. High school, a tragedy happened to me. My father's baby brother died of a heart attack. Can you imagine this? I'm a senior graduating. That's my favorite uncle. Dies in the house in front of my cousins on the floor. I was really troubled, and I still think about it now. Several years. So I'm saying, God, why? Why? That's my favorite uncle. He bought me a brand new baseball glove. We were poor, but he took us downtown market and bought me a baseball. I slept with that glove. I slept with it. Got hardball, put in, oiled it, and put a rubber band around it so you get the shape. I became a very good baseball player. I was all city.
You was all city?
All city baseball player. My father thought for sure I was going to be a pro. I was at the end of watching Willie Mays. Willie Mays is unarguably the best baseball player ever. These boys grew up behind the Charlie boys knew Cal State. I grew up at Cal State. Willie Mays, I was a little boy, 6, 7 years old. When he'd warm up in center field, he'd throw the ball over the fence. All the kids would go try to get the baseball. Well, I was too young. They'd beat me up and take the ball. You know, the older boys would take the ball from me. But that's the environment that I grew up. My baseball was from my uncle, and he dies when I'm a senior. Drops dead. That's what's beginning. I'm asking God, why? Okay? So life goes on. Come down to San Jose to go to college, right? Right before graduation again. A friend of mine that I grew up with, Willie Record, the guy was a brain. He was a walking, he was the most intelligent person I ever known. He was one of 9 children. High school curriculum did not have a math program for him. He'd have to go to the University of San Francisco for math. When I grew up, they didn't have AP or IB programs. We had a program called the Junior Achievers. Those are the kids that were just like over the top. He went to University of San Francisco for mathematics. Okay. What happened to him? I left. He starts carrying guns. Guy was smart. But city life is it was very violent. He starts carrying a gun. I said, man, why are you carrying a gun? We're riding. I said, why are you carrying a gun? And, these people are trying to take stuff from us. You got to protect yourself, da-da-da-da-da. He's carrying a gun. I said, man, you can't ride with me carrying a gun because it's not necessary. Okay, let me fast forward. 2 months after that, he gets shot in the back of the head. Bang, brains blown out. Back of his head. I just saw him. Can you imagine a mother? I knew the whole family. The mother had to go to the morgue and identify her son. Can you imagine this? And this was all over. This was an epidemic. This is not unusual. 70s were getting really crazy. The back of his head blown completely off. I was just so disturbed. I said, how does this happen? I just talked to him. Tell him don't carry guns. And he gets, they had an argument, and he gets shot in the back of the head by a neighbor's house. And the police said he was in so much pain, they had to break his arms off the steering wheel when his head was off. So I'm saying, what does this mean? I mean, I was really starting to start slipping. Why does this happen? I believed in God, without any doubt. Still do. And then I started thinking, what does this mean? So, went on, graduated. I worked as an intern at a very good company, and they asked me, did I want to go full time? I graduated. Can you imagine that? Your first gig? You know, graduate and you get a good gig. That was the early days of high tech. I worked with, it was just whoever thought that my background is IT. I graduated computer science. Everybody thought I was just a jock. I just do kickboxing. They just thought I just do that. I'm athletics. Well, I do that too. Sports has always been part of my life. Okay. I get a job. Okay. Mid-70s or so. 67. And still not really feeling well. I mean, all these things are happening. People are dying. People are dying. Drugs were everywhere. My brother got shot, and cousins. It was just like really always getting called, and somebody died. It's just really death. Really just brings things into perspective. Who else is going to die? So then I start searching. I thought maybe I had to go back to church. So I said, I'm not really feeling church, right? You know, I grew up two denominations, right? Baptist, most African Americans are Baptist. My mother's from New Orleans. New Orleans black people are Catholic. Anybody from New Orleans, black people, most of them are Catholic. So I grew up in San Francisco. I went to Baptist church, get the feel. Baptist, they were, Sundays was just like. Catholic church was very solemn, and I wanted to be an altar boy. Can you imagine me an altar boy? Altar boys were cool, because the baddest guy in our neighborhood was Marvin Johnson and Richard Rougeau. They were the baddest boy on our block. They were altar boys. Can you imagine? And they had those, right? Catholic church, they had those. Marvin Johnson was a thug, but he grew up in a Catholic church. He walked down the aisle with a cross. You know how they walk. Have you seen them? Yeah. Altar boys, black guys, altar boys, and the white, what is he? The priest, the white priest, and they had their incense. They walk in their incense. And Marvin Johnson was like, ooh, he was an altar boy. He was walking down the street. Down the aisle in church. So everybody wanted to be like, oh. That was my background, conscious of religion. It's just. But meanwhile, crime and violence were mixed together, intertwined. The nation, I'd always see them. The Nation of Islam were on the streets. They were a very important role model for us. That was like it was in the back of my mind. It was in my furniture of my brain. So when you start rearranging stuff, the Nation of Islam had a spot in my brain, had a spot. Jumping around, but I just want to just show you the religious connection that I had, God conscious. That's when I became Muslim, no problem. But getting to that is where things, I think, is interesting for me. Now, I wasn't feeling good because my friends were dying, right? Drugs were everywhere. People were getting shot all the time in San Francisco. I had a good job, right? Graduated. Can you imagine, first year, graduated from college, you get a good job? But I wasn't feeling good. People were dying. So I was in San Jose, feeling terrible, but I had a good job. Had some colleagues. A guy was standing on the corner, a black guy. I told my colleagues, I'll see you guys later. Santa Clara and First and Second, downtown San Jose. Black guy, downtown. Okay? I left my colleagues. We went to lunch. I wasn't Muslim. I was reading. I was searching. I thought I had to go back to church. I tried to go back to church. Wasn't feeling it. I'm not knocking people who go to church. Trust me. That's between them and God. There was a guy standing on the corner from the nation, but converted to Ahli Sunnah, Sunni Islam. He was on the corner, saw me. He says, "Hey, have you heard anything about Islam?" I says, "Man, he was black. I'm black. Man, I'm busy right now, bro. I'm busy. I don't have time." Okay? So he says, "Have you heard anything about Islam?" I said, "Yeah. The nation, Malcolm X, Muhammad Ali." Speaking of Malcolm X, when I grew up in San Francisco, one of the last temple that Malcolm visited was the Temple 25 or 6? Temple 26 in Fillmore, was across the street from my house. We lived in Gary Street. It was on Fillmore and Gary. It was called the old Fillmore Auditorium. The nation bought that. Malcolm went there. But I was too young. My father the nation used to have a newspaper called Malcolm Speaks? Muhammad Speaks. My father used to bring home and lay it on the table as a little boy. So this stuff was in my mind. These pictures, as a little boy in the house, seeing Muhammad Speaks, newspaper, the Nation of Islam, was in the back of my mind. Met this man in San Jose and asked me, "Do you hear anything? Have you heard about Islam?" I said, "Yeah." My sister was Muslim before all of her family was. But there was no connection. Loved them, I went wrong there, but Islam was, I go inside the store, this same guy was waiting for me. I told him I'm really busy. I go inside the store, he's a salesman. But it was something that he had. This man had something to tell me. God sent him to me. I go inside of a store. I said, "Man, I'm really busy." He's coming. I go in and buy something, come back out. He says, "Excuse me, sir. Can I talk to you?" And I said, "No, I'm really busy. Have you heard about Islam?" I said, "No, I don't have time. I have to go." "Give me a number." This is before cell phones. We got cell phones, so it's no excuse now. You give me a number. I don't need a card or anything. I gave my number really quick. The guy had a photographic memory. I go home. 2 days later, he calls me. "Man, can I talk to you about Islam?" I says, "Well, no, I'm really busy." Hung the phone up. But I just saw something in his face. He had something to tell me. He calls me a few days later. "Can we have lunch? I'm going to talk to you." I said, "What kind of excuse I give him now?" I said, "Whew. Okay. All right." I talked to him. We met for lunch. Nice man. But he was from the nation. He converted over to Ahli Sunnah through Elijah Muhammad's son, reverted Muhammad, which came in the scene, late 70s? Late, I think, maybe 78-ish. He came in, and this man had something to tell me. He was so proud of being a Muslim. So I met with him, and he just talked a hole in my head. Just talked and talked. I said, "Yeah, okay, great. So we left. So I said, I thought this was a sign for me to go to church. So I went to church. Wasn't feeling it. Not at all. Nope. So I go to work. Now keep in mind, this was the late 70s. We had, what was going on in the 70s? The Iranian crisis. In the 80s, 78, 80s. Yeah, the Iranians, brothers, they were the nice. Let me tell you about, I met some Iranians. The sweetest brothers I'd ever met. Why I say this? I worked with him. His name was John. It was hard being a Muslim then. Now, Allah, He did 9/11, all the work's done for us. Everybody knows about Muslims. Back then, no one knew. And Muslims weren't practicing. I didn't say hijab. San Francisco, the only ones who wore it were the Nation of Islam women. They were beautiful. They used to wear white. They were proud. I still have this in my mind. This is part of the furniture in my brain, my memory. The Nation of Islam. This guy. So, I go to work. I go to this Iranian guy who I worked with. His name was John. His name was Muhammad Tajalli. Pure Iranian. I says, man, John, you don't look like John. I mean, he was a handsome man, you know, he was Iranian. I said, man, so I go to him. We work together on projects, right? I go in one day, I go in, John, you know what? Can you give me a crime? No, here's what I said. I take it back. Rewind. I went to him, I says, are you Muslim? You should have saw his face. Like, he turned white. He was like, why? I said, man, can you give me a Quran? He says, Taylor, sit down. Why? I says, man, I met a guy. He's been bugging me. He said, I got to get a Quran. I asked my sister. She lived in Oakland. She had one, but I was in San Jose. He had a friend. His name was Ali. Ali. It's a beautiful name. But John was Muhammad. He called a friend. His name was Ali. I heard the conversation. They were speaking Farsi. Then you go over to the dorms of San Jose State, 6th Street, blah, blah, blah. So I heard the conversation. He says, go over here. So I went by his house. Amazing people. Now this man invites me to his house. He don't know me. Went to his little apartment with his wife, his newlywed, student. We sit on the floor. Islam is the truth. It's haq. Sit on the floor, we're eating lunch. So nice. Man, I just felt, man, who is this guy? I was just like, man. He sat down, he read Surah Duha. وَالدُّهَا وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى وَلَسَوْفَ. Now, I know it well, and I know the English. But I was reading the English transliteration. I'm saying, this ayah is talking to me. The prophet was an orphan, right? Allah told him, did I not find you in need? So you're probably saying, well, how does this relate to you? I was an orphan amongst my own people. These guys were getting really crazy. They were dying. Like my friend got his head blown off because he's carrying a gun. Cousins were carrying a gun in retaliation. It was just getting really crazy. I wasn't part of them. They're my loved ones and friends, but I was an orphan to them. I was looking for something different. This man read Duha to me. I cried. I'm saying, what is this? We finished lunch. This brother from Iran hugged me with a feeling like, I just met him. And I'm from the city. You don't get close to people. I'm always thinking of, what's your angle? What do you want? Somebody's up to something. I had my guard up. When I went to his house and I left, I was just like defenseless. He gave me the Quran. And by the way, I still have it today. I have it in my library. Now, here's when it gets kind of strange. This Quran, right? I get it. I go home. Something wakes me up in the middle of the night about 2 o'clock in the morning. Fresh, wide awake. I was wide awake. Went to the Quran. Don't know anything about the Quran. It was like ayahs were being highlighted in yellow. Wallahi. I'm reading in the middle of the night. I wake up fresh, wide awake. Something woke me up. I'm reading like it's highlighted. Wallahi. Okay? I read. I put it away. Every night, I'd wake up same time, read. Allah is telling me to read. Okay? I get really scared. I went back. I'm in San Jose. I go back to San Francisco. I went by a church where I grew up at. Went back there. I thought I really had to go back to church. Wasn't feeling it. Then I started reading and reading. It's highlighted every day. More paragraphs of yellow. It's no joke. It's highlighted. I needed a confirmation that this is for me. Okay? This is going on in my brain. I'm very analytical. So what is this? Meanwhile, Ali, the Iranian, called me. Can you come over again for lunch again? He says, what is this? I just met this man. And meanwhile, I'm reading and reading. I'm getting closer to God. Then I start reading. And I start feeling very good. Very good. So relaxed. Then my life really started changing. And I became Muslim. This is the truth. And every day, I thank God why He chose me.
What year was it?
79. 1979. 1979. Okay? Then I met various people. Now, the first Somali group came over here in 1982. African American, the same brother who met me on the street, he had a small musalla. His name was Bilal Ibn Muhammad. He has a TV show. He had a little musalla in San Jose, behind the old San Jose main library on Viola Street. He had a house over there. He had Ali come over there, and he was teaching us Arabic. Then some Somalis just came here. Yusuf Gaba, I don't know if you know Sharmarki, Jamaat, all them. Jamaat Yusuf came here in 1982 to a house I was sitting in. An Afghani brother came here from, it was a region of Afghanistan. I didn't know anything about Afghanistan. Didn't know anything about Afghanistan. Zero. He's from a village in Afghanistan called Kunduz, where the Russians were bombing the city and dropping bomb-filled dolls to the Afghans. This was in the 80s. Salih Muhammad was a man, came to the house, and I'm with all these people. I mean, can you imagine this? People who I never saw before. Where are you from? I'm from Somalia. Somalia, okay. Afghanistan, so we're in a little small house. We became so good friends. Then I took the Shahada. I mean, I felt so good. So good. My heart was just so filled with, and it's very important. And I think every day now I have 7 children. They're all Muslim. One of my daughters teaches high school. She wears hijab. They think that she's from Egypt or Saudi Arabia because she's light complected and she wears hijab. They say, where are you from? Oh, I'm American, really. I'm reverted Taylor. I said, okay. But the point that I'm trying to help you guys understand, you guys are truly blessed. Because I asked God. He guided me to Islam. You guys are born. So the next question I ask, are my children going to have the same zeal and drive as me? You know, you're born Muslim. Most of you take it for granted, right? Most of you do. Particularly the girls wearing hijab. You're beautiful. You guys are on the forefront. You're telling the world you're Muslim. And brothers have to step up. Don't think because you have a beard, you're Muslim. No. Homeless people wear beards. So don't be talking, well, I got a beard. So, a man in the corner asked me for some money. I said, get out of here. You know, he has a beard. It's a big thing right now to wear a beard. It's beautiful. I'm not belittling it. I'm not laughing at it. But that's not enough. But these girls, these are women, our sisters, my wife, my daughters, and you guys are the main ones. When you wear hijab, you're so beautiful and dignified. Now, brothers, I'm going to conclude because my brother has talked. I talk. I'm going a little bit more depth, but I don't want to because we have limited time. Let me talk. But what I want each and every one of us to do, the Nation of Islam, still to this day, are out there in the street. South Central LA and Inglewood, they're on the corner handing out material about Islam. They still have what I call proto-Islam. That's their thing. They're out there. They're doing dawah. Latinos are coming to Farrakhan's movement. White people listening very close, they're trying to get in because they like what they're hearing. Why I bring up the Nation, me, myself, and Imam Zayd and Dr. Sherman Jackson, Abdul Hakim, we used to talk about 6 or 7 years ago at Imam Zayd's house. We were trying to figure out how we can help step up the spread of Islam. We looked at the model of the Nation of Islam. Very powerful model. If you get time to study them, that model in the African American community is they are a very respected group of people. Farrakhan is out there. You know, Farrakhan's Aqidah is between him and Allah. I ain't even getting into that because he knows the difference. I'm not even getting into that. But what they're doing is they're going to the people. What we came to the conclusion is the Nation of Islam was a benefit to the community. They represented uprightness. They didn't use drugs or alcohol. They're very clean. Those brothers in the Nation, when you see them on the street, they say, how you doing today? They don't even care about people brushing them off. They don't care. We're sensitive. So it's not interested. So what? The Nation out there, they're approaching white people, black people, anybody. How you doing? Right? They say, hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing, ma'am? People just go away. But they're there. The point when I'm trying to bring out for us, you guys are in a different space now. You have social media. The universities, you have MSAs. I say most of them are failing to connect to the black community. Why do I say that? Now you have, what, black MSAs? Yeah, you got an off-branch of African American who feel that the MSAs exclude them because their activities only focus on issues that affects Muslims overseas. How many of them rallied behind Black Lives Matter? Very few of us. I'm not university, but I got relatives who say I'm not really feeling. They're Muslim, but they're not really feeling the MSAs. Okay, Black Lives Matters is a big movement, huge. I recommend that if you got leaders or presidents in the MSA, I know San Jose is small, and we don't have San Jose State and these others, but Cal and these other ones, you need people who have tough skin. That you need to reach out to the African American, the Latino, what they call the Latino, Mitcha. Yeah, hook up with them. We need to really, we collectively, but you guys at university level need to get outside of our box. Okay? Because Allah showed us 2001, 9/11, this ain't your deen. I knew this place before 9/11. It was enclosed. They had activities only for Muslims. Now they have open houses. Allah says, I ain't leaving it to you guys because you guys have dropped the ball. Now it's on to the university level. You guys need to start thinking out and hooking up to the Black Student Union, inviting them to your activities. Go in there and have tough skin. So they're gonna say, well, you Arabs. So what? It's okay. We all, they call us, we the N word. Don't be offended. Don't be offended. So whoever's the president of these MSAs, they should be in the forefront reaching out to this these groups, connecting, because African American and Latinos they're out there. Black Lives Matter is big, really big. And to me, that's a good thing. We need that. It gets us, it tightens our dean up. 9/11, for me, it tightened us up. My family, we didn't go underground. And another thing, professionals, what you need to do when you guys go out to companies, one brother, a friend of mine, but he met his son's here. He goes, I worked at Oracle. I worked two stories below Larry Ellison. Christmas, holiday, they drank alcohol. I didn't leave. I sat there. They were nice. Oracle used to have spreads. I didn't leave because they drank alcohol. They ordered food, and I let them know I'm a Muslim. If I removed myself from them, they would have never known I was Muslim. So I sit there with them, and they say, why aren't you eating? Why aren't you drinking? Because I'm a Muslim. And when they ordered food, I said, I want a vegetarian. I don't want to get into halal. No. That convolutes everything. I said, I'm vegetarian. Give me a vegetarian place. Well, I noticed that you're not eating this. Because people are always watching. People have always watched me. I guess because I was a black guy, they said, well, what's he going to do? Okay, he's working in a high-tech company. Well, maybe he's going to, I don't know. What could I do there? I don't know. Could I still run down a 15 flights of stairs with a laptop? I don't know. And that's no joke. People laugh. I go to Target right now. I am a mature, middle-aged black man. We have, inventory protection, thief protection. They follow me, right? Black men, so get used to it. We're people of color. They're going to look at your hijab. How many love? You want to stand out. You're our flag. Islam is here. This is good for us. Okay? Keep on, sisters. But brothers, you guys need to start connecting. Okay? The sisters are doing the work because their hijab is doing the work. All right? We need to start reaching out to these groups and start getting involved. Because if MCA didn't have neighbors, right? What are the neighbors saying about Muslims now? They're our friends, right? If we had our doors closed, they say, well, man, who are these people? It comes from Donald Trump and this madness down in San Bernardino, right? That's what right? And it's not going to stop. You know why? We haven't learned a lesson yet. That's why it's going to keep coming on. It's going to keep happening. Allah's going to say, hey, Allah says what? I will not change the situation, the state of a people until they do what? Change themselves. We haven't changed. We got to unite. Look at us. Our skin color is different. So we need to really start mixing, going out. This is Allah's deen. Allah says that if you don't take this deen serious, I'll raise up another people. Right? Right? I'll replace someone better than you. Or me. 5 minutes. Okay. Man, I'm sorry.
It's cool. It's all right.
Okay, so anyway.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'm sorry, brother.
No, it's all right. It's all right.
I don't talk much, so I got to take advantage of it.
It's all good.
He talks all the time.
Yeah.
Good brother. He's better.
I just want to say, inshallah, because we're going to go to Isha, that everybody has to do something. Like, you got to do something. Everybody has to do something. You have to make some type of contribution to what's going on today. Because if you don't make some type of contribution to what's going on today, it's going to affect you for the rest of your life. It's going to affect your deen. It's going to affect your faith. No one here has an excuse not to do something. No one here has an excuse not to make some type of contribution. No one here has that type of excuse. And even those of us who are doing something, we have to do more. That's what time is. We are in a state of emergency. And the most important people in the state of emergency that we're in are our youth. Y'all the most important people in this state of emergency. So we need Muslims who are proud of being Muslims, who are willing to stand strong for being Muslims. And whatever campus that you're on and so on and so forth, if you're not on campus anymore, get with an off-campus organization. But you've got to get these campuses activated. You've got to activate them, right? San Jose State, I think, personally, has started the process. A lot of stuff happened in San Jose State, so on and so forth. They got it going on. But now we have to make sure that the other campuses are active. And then once these other campuses are active, y'all stay in contact with each other and coordinate with each other. The junior colleges have to coordinate with each other. The universities, everyone has to coordinate with each other and get active and get busy. To the point to where you have like Bay Area-wide actions. You know what I'm saying? Like on all the campuses. And y'all can do that because we got different campuses represented here. You got to do dawah on the campus. You have to like command what is right, forbid what is wrong. You got to let people know what's going on out there. You got to let people know what's happening out there. And at the same time, you have to go get those Muslims on the campuses who are slowly making their way back to Islam. There's a revival taking place. Always remember, this war on Islam is a reaction to something. The war on Islam is a reaction to the revival, the Islamic revival. Don't focus on the war on Islam. Focus on the revival. There's an Islamic revival taking place, right? We were a part of it, you know, when we came to Islam, right? So there's a revival taking place. Focus on that particular aspect of it, not the response to it. Because if you just focus on the war on Islam, no, there's a revival taking place. So this Islamophobia, this war on Islam is a reaction. It's a reaction to the revival. And the revival is still taking place. The revival is still going on. You have to make a contribution. You can't sit back and act like you don't know what's going on. Anytime you see MCA have armed guards, y'all, armed guards, which is Malcolm's move. That's Malcolm. Malcolm said self-defense. Malcolm said self-defense. That's what Malcolm said, self-defense. You got armed guards patrolling the halls of MCA. We in a state of emergency. It's a different time that we're living in. A few years back, MCA would have never considered having armed guards here. I know that for a fact because we suggested it. But if you open, you're from Oakland. You know what I'm saying? But times is different. Times has changed. Now they got the armed guards. We're in a state of emergency, and everybody has to do something. No excuses. No excuses. So we'll get back to your campuses and get even busier. Join your MSAs, right? Get busy. Just like what's as important as hitting the books is being active. That's as important as hitting the books. They're both important. So you got to hit the books and you have to be active, right? Not like this. It's like this. You got to be active. You got to get busy. And sisters, if you get on campus and not a lot of brothers are active, so on and so forth, all right, just do your thing.
Step up.
Just do your thing. Keep doing your thing. The brothers will come, inshallah. All right, y'all. Peace. Sorry.